Hi, I'm Joe Bailey, Executive Director with the Quest program, and I want to talk to you briefly about negotiations. One of the things that we do a lot within Quest is we work within teams, and we also work a lot on action learning. And oftentimes that means that we've got to figure out a way for us to do give and take, either with an external client or even within our own team. And so there's a lot that we need to think about or can learn from thinking about negotiations. So I would say there are two kind of ways in which we think about negotiations on either extreme, and of course lots of variation within. One way is to think about a pie which you can split. And you can think about having me on one side and you on another. And we can go ahead and try to negotiate to figure out how we're going to split this pie up. Sometimes we can solve problems like this when we have this what's called a zero-sum game, meaning that we're not changing the overall size of the pie, we're just splitting it between us. Is maybe I'll let you cut two appropriate pieces of the pie, and then I get to choose which one of the pieces I have. And that will ensure us to have kind of as equal a split as possible. If you make it too unequal, I could possibly benefit. But there's another way to think about negotiations, which is if you're given the size of a pie, that it's not going to stay that way, but rather you can actually increase the size of the pie if you actually use negotiation to recognize what value people get out of things being split. So in a simple example is, let's say that you were splitting a cookie, and they had one side with lots of great sprinkles on it and the other side with great cake, and we all both wanted a bigger piece, but one person really liked sprinkles more than another. Well, if we have that conversation, then instead of just cutting the cookie down and having two equivalent sized pieces, we could actually have one side of the cookie that's a little bit bigger, but no sprinkles, and the other side's a little smaller, but with sprinkles, and we can both be better off. So I know that's a simple example. Let's see if I give you a more concrete example when it comes to working in a team. Let's say we have two people that can't agree on how long and when we're going to meet. So one person really doesn't want to meet during the weekends, and one person really can't meet for more than 2 hours at a time. If we get these two people to describe what they're doing, we can come up with an option that makes us both better off by making sure that we're not meeting on weekends and we're keeping the meeting a little bit shorter. That way we're satisfying both of those constraints, as opposed to just saying we have to go ahead and make sure that we go ahead and decide the duration of the meeting and when it is, and not have much flexibility. In general, trying to grow the pie is always a good idea if we understand where the different sides are coming from, and allows us to come up with creative solutions. This type of model is written about in a book by called Getting to Yes. I believe Urey and Fisher wrote this book, and it's used a lot when people talk about the different types of negotiations. Getting to yes means how can we go ahead and get some agreement without going into some difficult and confrontational types of negotiations. So getting to yes, building consensus, sharing what we're trying to get out of a particular negotiation is a creative way to go ahead and explore some new opportunities in getting some agreement among team members. So for the Quest program, I'm Joe Bailey, and this has been Negotiations. Thank you.